Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Finally, it's the 100 subscriber special, after I've already reached 500. I can't believe I'm growing so quickly. 500 will do a ranking of every Nyan in Yokai Watch 3, as quite a few people have requested it. So I set up a Google forum where my community can rate each boss in Yokai Watch blasters from 1 to 5. I calculated the average of each boss and ordered them from lowest to highest. If there was a tie, I just put whatever I thought my community would rate higher based on some comments from the forum. Around halfway through this video I'll be doing a Q&A as well, so let's just get into the ranking. 36 is Styx Mark 6. Some of these placements are definitely interesting. I don't really dislike any boss in this game, but I don't think I would place Styx last. I'm not a huge fan of his Soultimate, but other than that I don't see why people rated this one so low. Sticking with Infinite Inferno bosses, Hoggles is 35. I actually quite like this fight. Once again, no idea why he's so low, especially when his recolor is much higher. 34 is SV Snaggerjag. Since when did people hate Snaggerjag? I'm honestly surprised he didn't even get an average score above 3. Why do people not like this guy? What happened to "It's a big one" being one of the funniest boss voice lines? With an average score of exactly 3, we have Tattleterror at 33. She's the most mid-boss according to my community. She deserves to be higher for the music alone. She's a buff granny that walks on her arms. What's not to like? 32 is Golden Claws. Unfortunately, I can't get footage of either of the gold bosses due to online shutting down, which is probably the reason why they're all so low. I personally wouldn't rate these based on that, but I didn't say anything, so... Swirlius Omai is 31, another statue boss, though he can still be fought with the VIP room. Other than his name, I do like the statue boss gimmicks of only staying on certain tiles, though the AI teammates aren't so good at that, which is another reason why a lot of these bosses are low. Which once again, I personally wouldn't rank them this way, but that's just how people rank them. 30 is Swirlius Gold. I know I've said I already don't like Swirlius Omai's name, but this is just lazy in my opinion. Even when I was younger, I didn't like this name, and that's when you know it's bad. They just took Swirlius Omai and just replaced Omai with Gold. I can't think of a better name right now, but I think they could have come up with something, especially since I really like Golden Claw's name. The boss you probably forgot existed, and I almost did, Pink Emperor is 29. He's probably here due to his forgettability, and because he's exclusive to a challenge mission, and you can't fight him on Super or Ultra. He is actually as strong as regular Shogun King though. The final statue boss, Red Paws, is 28. Out of all of them, Red Paws is probably my favourite statue boss, but it's probably low due to the same reasons as all the others. Goldie Bones is 27. Unlike in Yokai Watch 2, I actually quite like the Bones bosses in this game, except when the AI walk right into the fire. It's so stupid. Why is Goldie the lowest of the 3? Well, Gutsy is more iconic I guess, and Glitzy is stronger, so that's probably why people rated him lower. 26 is Idraw. I do like how they adapted this fight into blasters. Something I just realised is people seem to generally not like these one-phase fights like Idraw or Goldie Bones, which is a possible reason, but as we'll see later that might not be the case. Dame Dead Time is 25. I'm honestly surprised. In Yokai Watch 2, yeah, I get it, but blasters? I guess having to fight the Wickeds in between phases is annoying, but other than that... Actually, now that I think about it, Dame Demona's Steel Attack prevents you from using a certain move, which is definitely annoying. 24 is Devourer. I like the fact that him and Demuncher can eat Onis around the map and get a strength boost. I've been replaying blasters recently and the CPUs just don't know how to dodge the rolling attack. I guess he's lower than Demuncher due to Demuncher being in the story and having more character. 23 is Ogrelus. Yeah, he is my least favourite of the 3 Onis, but I'd still put him higher than this. I kinda get that people don't really like the bubble gimmick, but I think it's fine. The first, kinda, boss of the game, Sproink, is 22. I quite like the gimmick of the bass becoming lava, and I'm really confused why Hoggles is so much lower. His battle intro cutscene is also quite funny, I guess. 21 is McCracken, one of my personal favourites. If I could go back in time, I would definitely... Okay, I wrote in the script lick. I said if I could go back in time, I would definitely lick white dog over red cat. That just sounded weird. Anyway, if I could go back in time, I would definitely pick white dog over red cat as my main save file, but oh well. I really like that McCracken and Dane Dead Time's story mission is right before the final boss of this game. I also like the transition between his phases. From the responses, number 20, robonyan 3000 seems to be a controversial one. Fair enough, he is a really hard boss, and the attack where he goes across the screen is quite hard to know where he's coming from. He does have a banger battle theme, even if it is short. It's also confusing with his relation to robonyan 28. In the game, if I remember correctly, he says they're brothers or cousins or something, but I also feel it says somewhere that he's the future version of robonyan 28. 19 is Gussie Bones. He would be the easiest boss if it weren't for the fact that, like I said earlier, the AI will basically ignore his fire attack. I do really like this boss otherwise though. We've made it to the halfway mark of the ranking, which means I'm going to answer some questions from the comments, which I also said I'd do for 100 subs. This part is completely unscripted, so let's just start. What's your favourite Yokai Watch game and why? Well, I mean, it's Yokai Watch 3, I mean, like, by far. There's just so much content, like, you know, you've got Blaster's Tea, which is basically a whole nother game, a whole load of side quests, you know, ton of yokai to befriend, a lot of stuff. Though Blasters would be definitely my favourite if the online was still a thing, so yeah. Grid system from Yokai Watch 3, wheel from 1 and 2, or Blaster style? Well, obviously Blasters, you know, I love Blasters, but out of the wheel or the grid, I'd say I slightly prefer the wheel. I also like the grid. And yeah, I'm gonna make a whole video on that. That's gonna be the next video after the Nyan ranking, which will be next week. How can Yokai Watch games be replayable? Because a series is a one and done series. You know what? Fair point. I mean, like, Yokai Watch 3 is quite a long game. Though I still really like the story of that game. Though it might be a bit long to replay. I feel like they're more replayable just because, you know, there's a variety of different, like, team options you can do. You know, there's lots of different, like, quests you can do during the story. Just a lot of different factors that I think makes these games replayable. Though, maybe more so Yokai Watch 1, because Yokai Watch 2, you know how I feel about that game's story. And 3, whilst on the first playthrough, I think it's probably the best out of the 3 main stories. Yeah, it's a bit long on repeat playthrough, but still good. Best song in the series? I don't know. Like, I've literally said, right, that my 2 favourites are definitely versus Classic Yokai and versus American Yokai. But honestly, there's a lot of different ones, like, sometimes I'll be feeling like versus Rongo Swirl or versus Cyborg Y, sometimes it'll be versus Captain Thunder, but I feel like my 2 main ones are Classic Yokai and versus American Yokai. Who's better, Luminoct or Dark QB? Well, they're both on my Yokai Watch 2 team, so I love them both, but obviously it's a Luminoct. I mean, he's my second favourite Yokai, so yeah. Do you have any Yokai Watch medal toys? If so, which ones? Well, I have the original Yokai Watch, the Model 0, and a French Model U. And I have a ton of medals in my medallion, which I have probably way too many pages in. I'll show them all on screen here. And there's some towards the end that are fake ones I got on holiday. Don't know why. Just thought it was interesting. Also, fun fact, I got Shogun on my first pack opening, which I think is pretty lucky. But yeah, and as you can see, there are way too many pages in my medallion. It is very fat, if that's the right word. If you could 3 yokai to protect you from Goku, who would it be? Well, if I could 3 yokai to protect me from Goku, I'm assuming we're not counting spin-offs and just from, well, 1, 2, and 3, because those are the games I played. I guess I'd pick, probably just the most powerful ones, so, what, Hino's All Awoken, Ancient Enma, and, don't know who else. Who else is a really powerful yokai? I don't know, I guess like Enma Awoken or someone. Yeah, I never watched Dragon Ball, but I know that Goku's pretty powerful. Which is better, Yokai Watch 2 or 3? Well, I've already answered this, Yokai Watch 3. Which random NPC dialogue did you find interesting out of the first 3 games? Well, not so much like interesting, but I find like that one bizarre room with the church guy, whatever you call him, Thomas or whatever, and he asks for your tasty pasta, or offers you medicine. I just think that's funny. Also, thoughts on the Noko yokai line? I mean, I love them, you know. I made a whole video about ranking them. Yeah. What's your favourite boss theme in the OG trilogy? Well, I mean, if boss theme in general, then obviously versus classic yokai, but specific, like, you know, for like a boss theme for one specific boss, it would either be versus Captain Thunder, versus Rongo Swirl, or versus Cyborg Y. I mean, I guess that technically counts as a boss theme since it's used in Yokaiju fight. And what else? Yeah, versus Dawn Sparcy's up there as well. And that's all for the Q&A. I'm honestly surprised no one asked what my favourite yokai is. It's Lord Enma, by the way, just the regular one. Though I do prefer him with the Enma blade. I don't know, I just think he's really cool. Anyway, back to the video. 18 is Mass Mutter. He is quite a hard boss with really fast attacks. The fact that Sam, Mangy Mutt's teddy bear from the anime, is here too makes it a lot cooler. I also find it funny how he says doggone it when you hit him, so all you hear is doggone it, doggone it. That was terrible, but you know exactly what I mean if you fought him. Overall, really good boss. 17, Gargos. Most basic boss and technically the first one. I've always wondered if you can beat him on that first battle and what happens if you do. And it makes sense he'd be around the middle. Also, basically every version of Blasters, Gargos is much weaker than he is in the main games. Like, he one-shots your whole team unless they're level 70 or higher. And in Blasters, any old yokai can beat him. Fittingly at 16, we have Demuncher. Like I said earlier, I really like that he can eat Onis wandering around the map, which adds extra strategy when facing him. The plot twist in the story where you think you've beaten Gargos, a tough opponent, and then he just comes down and swallows them whole. He quite literally eats them for breakfast. 15 is robonyan 28. Not much to say that hasn't already been said about 3000, but the challenge mission with both of them at once is probably the hardest mission in all of Blasters, to the point where it's the only mission I haven't beaten. Dodging just one of them is hard enough, but both? 14 is Rubius J. I like him in the overworld, and I do actually like his gimmick of hiding behind the cars. Not a huge fan of when he sends you back, but you usually beat him before that anyways. I also like that he explodes after being defeated. I remember especially when doing Red Palace 21, people would see if they could dodge it at the last second. Good times. I also like his thing with Venoct in the anime, where the description sounded exactly like Jibanyan, but it's actually revealed that it was Rubius J. 13 is He Knows All Awoken. I'm really surprised he's this high, not because I think he's a bad boss, I actually really like it, but because of how many responses complained about it. Some people think he's the hardest boss in the game, but I still say Shogun King is harder. 12 is Glitzy Bones. I'm surprised he's quite a bit higher than the other bones. I like the gimmick where he can't just avoid half his attacks like in Yokai Watch 2. And after all these years, I still can't figure out how to dodge his black capsule attack without getting hit. Before you all say, actually you need to look at the order they appear in. Have you tried that yourself? Because if you have, you'd know that doesn't work. Just missing the top 10, He Knows All is 11. I like the fight and He Knows All himself, but the whole barrier thing while playing with AI teammates. He needs to get his employees to shoot at his barrier, or he'll heal back to full. Problem: the CPUs will attack the employees even when you set them to target the boss. How many of you didn't know you could do that? Even when there was online, I remember once I spent half an hour on this fight, trying to teach someone how to beat him with just the in-game messages, like, attack the boss, Like, there's no way to say don't attack the employees. If it was more obvious what you'd need to do, I'd like this a lot more, but I still like it anyway. Just making the top 10 is the final boss, Whipped Cream. I've already talked more about him in my final boss video. The first phase isn't anything too special, and going around defeating Cream Puffs is quite annoying. The second phase though I really like. I think his attacks are pretty good, but the fact the whole B team shows up is really cool. I don't think he's top 10 worthy, but I still really like this fight. 9 is Captain Thunder, one of my personal favourites. There isn't really anything negative I have to say about this fight. I also really like the Star Wars references with, I guess, Usapion in general, but I like how the second phase sounds like the Imperial March, Darth Vader's theme. And the first phase, I just love that song. Another Moon Rabbit Crew boss is Zazel at number 8. There's so much about this fight. The first phase, which is essentially 3 bosses at once. The second phase with the balls, which I think are okay. And also Enma shows up, you know, the whole thing with the second movie. There's a lot I like about this fight. The music, again. The first phase I really like, but the second phase, oh, it's just one of my favourites. Literally my only complaint is how he sounds like Count Dracula with his accent in the English version sometimes. Like, I don't understand why. Like, yeah, I guess he kind of looks like a vampire, but like, he speaks normally sometimes as well. Kind of unrelated, but how long did it take everyone to realise that Lord Enma and the Five Trials is a reference to Lord Enma and the Five Tails? Because it took me way too long to figure that out. Another personal favourite, Hardyhound, is number 7. I talked about him in my Como ranking video, but I really like the gimmick with the lanterns or whatever they are. He also uses versus classic yokai, so points there. And his mission with Rubius J has Dog of the North Star, which once again is a banger. 6 is Slimeamander. How the heck is Slimeamander so much higher than Hydra? This is definitely the biggest gap between recolors on this list. Perhaps it's due to his iconicness, color scheme being better than Hydra, the story, the Noko brothers. Even all that, I don't get how he's that much higher. Hydra is literally in the bottom 10, while Slimeamander is in the top 10. Also, it took me way too long to realise that Mander's eye is supposed to be like Slimeamander's eye. 5 is Kabuking. I like this fight. The spotlight thing is fun, and I love his other attacks as well. I remember one of my last missions before the server shut down was all 4 of us were Kabuking, and we fought Ultra Kabuking several times. It was so much fun. Makes me genuinely really sad that I might never experience something like that ever again. I know Pretendo's a thing, but what's the likeliness of them getting to blasters soon? And even then, there probably wouldn't be nearly as many people playing online. The hardest boss in the game, Shogun King, is number 4. I'm not surprised he's this high. Really cool battle. I mean, he slices the moon in half, and powers his blade with lost souls. You can't tell me that's not extremely cool. It's also interesting to think about that he was awakened by the screams of past bosses you've defeated, if I remember correctly. I've seen that somewhere anyway. I've seen people beat Ultra Shogun King solo, and while I haven't yet attempted it, I do feel like it's something I could eventually do. Also, what happened to bosses that are hard to beat with CPUs being low? 3 is Cat Cradle. How is she number 3 when I saw several complaints on the forum about her? Well, obviously not as hard as in 2. She's still pretty challenging with her elemental attacks and Ultimate. The eye gimmick I think is fine. This is the only boss I'd recommend not having lock-on cam for, as it gets quite disorientating with the 3 eyes. 2 is Arcanos. Yeah, I like this guy here more than the main games. I like his new tornado attack and his war paint thing. He's just really cool. Maybe I appreciate this fight more because of how many times I've fought him grinding for the only Smasher Sky. Well, this is it. What does my community think is the best boss in Yokai Watch Blasters? The most consistently positive rated boss with an average rating of nearly 4. Number 1 is Wobble Walk. You probably weren't expecting that, and neither was I, to be honest. I still like this fight, not as much as the main games, and I definitely wouldn't rank it number 1. the whole attack technique gimmick, I think, works both better and worse here. Better as if you have technique attacks, you can just use those, but worse because you're kinda screwed if you don't, though then again, you're choosing to fight Wobble Walk without a team with any sort of technique attacks, then that's completely on you. Anyway, Pitch Bomber I like, but don't like that it happens every quarter of his health. I kind of have a special place for Blaster's Wall Walk in my heart, as I've mentioned in previous videos. Also, by the way, this has gone around for a long time. Not really much to do with Wobble Walk, but, you know, you can watch it if you want, but skip to here if you don't want to hear me ramble on. As I've mentioned in previous videos, how with the main games, there was a certain point in the story where I just stopped. Yokai Watch 1, it was the Wazak chapter, because I couldn't get past it. I know, I have no idea why. Yokai Watch 2, it was like the second chapter, and I just stopped playing for reasons I don't even know. And in Yokai Watch 3, it was Zombie Night, or around that point in the story, because I was too scared, or probably for the same reason as 2 if it wasn't. For Blasters, it was Wobble Walk. This was the furthest I'd made it in any Yokai Watch game, and without watching someone else's playthrough as well. I was ready to give up and stop playing this game too, and just watch other people play. About a week or two later, I grinded Gutsy Bones a bit to level up my yokai. I was finally ready to tackle Wobble Walk, and I did it. I had finally beaten this guy. I then went on to beat the game, which is the first time I'd beaten a Yokai Watch game. I then went on to befriend strong yokai, beat super bosses, play online, and have so much fun, where it became my favourite game of all time. I would return to the game every now and again if I was bored, until a couple years ago, I decided it's finally time to get good equipment, high-leveled yokai, and beat ultra bosses. And so I did, until earlier this year when the online was shut down. I was genuinely nearly crying at the thought of not being able to play this game properly ever again. I know pretend was a thing, but like I said earlier, what's the likelihood of them getting to Blasters? And even then, like, what's the likelihood that there's going to be a lot of people playing? Yokai Watch 3 was then forced to take the spot as my favourite game. Sorry for going on so long there, but I do want to make a whole video about Blasters, or just my history with Yokai Watch in general, because I'd say it's pretty interesting. Here's hoping for a Blasters remake on Switch. And I know Yokai Watch 4 has a Blasters mode, but like, I'm hoping for just the game Blasters being remade. I also want to include some of the responses I got. So, here they are. I'm just getting up now. This is once again unscripted. Here we go. We have... Give me a sec. I like the Koma-san ones. Me too. Odd Boss Yokai is best boss Yokai theme. You know what? It's a pretty good one. Not my favourite, but Mass Mutterer gets a 5 based on concept alone. Love that they went with the Manjimat jail arc. You know what? I completely agree. Something I probably would have never thought of, but yeah. This game is so good, and all the bosses are still memorable and fun, even if I gave them the low rating. Exactly, yep. Completely agree with this one. If it has a 3, I means I haven't been able to fight them, or can't give a fair ranking for whatever reason. I hate robonyan. Fair enough, you know. I'd still probably rate them based on their appearance, but yeah, I did say anything in the poll. And hating robonyan, I like them, but you know, fair enough. I like most of the bosses, but honestly, the way they do too many reskins. Also, I hope they make them more balanced for single player on Blasters too. Well, first of all, I don't really mind the reskins. Second of all, Blasters 2 is a thing, you know, Busters 2. I've never played it, but I've heard it's not very good, and it's basically just Blasters T, but worse. So I don't really intend on playing it, but might eventually. This is just based on how fun they are. I hate the multiplayer exclusive ones so much, so they get a 1 just for being near impossible to fight now. You know, like I've said, I wouldn't personally rank them this way, but you know, yeah, that's fine. I rank the bosses based on the quality of the battle, if it's annoying or fun, and the usefulness of the boss. I also rank them based on the look. Yep, that's exactly what I asked for, yep. Personally, I really like all the bosses, so it's hard to rate them lower than 3 stars. Though I really like McCracken and Cat Cradle because they're really cool designs. Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to rate any of these bosses under 3 stars either. Some later bosses, Zazel, Gold Claws, Swirliest Gold, etc. I put as 1, because with Online 1, I think I'm supposed to say with Online Gone, there's no way you'll end up beating them without hours and hours of mindless grinding. Yeah, I mean, you can beat them solo, many people have proven that, but yeah, I do kind of agree. I played in single player the entire time because my friends weren't really into the series, like I was. So when fighting heroes all, I had CPUs, and the barrier phase is basically impossible with them attacking the minions that are sent out. I honestly completely agree with this. This one's pretty long, I'm not going to read out all of it, but you can pause the video and read it. Gutsy Bones. No, I'm gonna play a voice clip of Gutsy Bones over and over again, okay? Or maybe Goldie Bones on Tuesdays. I mean, personally, I'm feeling more Goldie Bones on Wednesdays and Glitzy Bones on Tuesdays, but other than that, yeah, I agree. And that's all of the responses I got. So thanks for that. I'm glad I chose this one to be a community ranking, as I don't dislike any boss in this game. I also have no idea what's my favourite and least favourite boss in this game. The ones I said were one of my favourites have only become that way near the end of the online. Before that, I liked them probably all about as much as each other. Thank you all for 500 subscribers. By the way, I'm getting kind of scared that I might actually get to 1k and have to rank every mission in Blasters. But yeah, the next video will be the 500 subscriber special Nyan ranking. Before that though, as a bonus video, I'll be building your suggestions for Yokai Watch 4 pixel art in Minecraft, so tell me what I should build. After the Nyan ranking will be the video comparing 2 and 3's battle systems, the last video from that poll from a while ago. So after that, there'll be a new poll, so stay tuned for that. As usual, like and sub if you like this and want to see more, and comment your favourite boss in Yokai Watch Blasters. Not much else to say, so I'll see you in the next one.